Friday Lab!
What's up, everybody? Let's do a kitchen lab. Or just like make some stuff, mix it up. All right. So this is the thing that everyone always asks, hey, can we make that? That sounds fun in lab. And then I'm like, yeah, I'll bring that in. And then it'd be a huge mess and I dread doing it. But now you can do it in your own kitchen and get it all messed up. And I don't have to worry about it. So all you need to make this cornstarch and water thing that you may remember from like a video that I showed in class where it kind of acts like a liquid when you move through it really slow. And then when you hit it with something, it kind of almost turns into a solid. It's called a non-Newtonian liquid. All you need is cornstarch, and it doesn't really matter what kind. It's more the ratio that matters, and water. And it's really the ratio of the cornstarch to water that you have to get just right to make it work. So the best that I've ever had it work out is when you've got like a 2-to-1 ratio of cornstarch. So I've got 2 cups of cornstarch here to 1 cup of water. Now, I've got a little bit of cornstarch left, and you want to make sure that you've got some cornstarch, because sometimes when you mix it together, depending on how well you do, sometimes it's too watery and it doesn't work and you have to add more cornstarch. And that's a problem if you use up all your cornstarch in the first batch. So save a little bit back, but whatever you do, start with a 2-to-1 ratio and save a little bit of cornstarch. And obviously water, you've got an infinite supply from the faucet. And then when you mix it together, it can be kind of funky. So I usually start with the water first. And then as you put the cornstarch in, it really likes the water so much that if you put it in all at once, it kind of clumps up really, really fast. So you kind of have to just kind of add it. I'm using just a whisk until you kind of feel that you've incorporated all of it into the water. Put a little bit more in, because like if I dumped this whole thing in there and I started doing this, like you can kind of see what it's doing on the side. It's kind of clumping up, and as long as you've got enough water, you can make it work. But if you have too much water, I mean, if you have enough water, it'll definitely incorporate into the water and it won't be all lumpy. But if you have too much water, it's not going to work with the sort of non-Newtonian fluid that we want to get to. So I'm just doing this until I kind of feel the cornstarch really incorporate with the water. Little by little. You don't have to go crazy. I mean, you can do it in like 5 or 6 small little. All right, so it's getting close. So I can feel, I don't know if you can see that on the video, how it's definitely getting thicker. And when I move the whisk through it, I can kind of feel resistance. And that's what you want to feel. You want to start feeling resistance. So we're almost there. And whenever I do this, I always think, oh, it's not going to work. I've got too much water here. It's definitely not going to work. But it always, right towards the end, that last little bit that you get in there, makes it work. Obviously get a big enough bowl to do this, because you want to, the key is getting it to mix really well. Because if you don't, you just kind of have lumps of cornstarch that aren't doing their job with the water. All right, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to put all the rest of it in there and hope that I don't get things too lumped up. Oh, see, it's getting really, really dense. I might have done too much at that point, because it gets hard to mix right at the end there because of exactly what we're going for. You can see in the whisk here, but I'm definitely making it work with some of this stuff. So you saw what I did there. At the very end, don't make the mistake that I made and dump all of that in there. Be patient and go little by little, because now I kind of have to if I really want this to work out here, I might have to add more water, or it seems I have to add more water because it all got used up there. And then you eventually add too much water and you don't have enough cornstarch. All right, so I'm definitely gonna have to add more water here. All right, but if I add too much, it's gonna go the other way. So this is obviously, this is not what we're looking for here. This is just kind of chunks of cornstarch that have very little water added to it. So I'm gonna get one more cup of water, which is probably too much. And add half of that. And then it'll reincorporate eventually. I can already feel it going. There, now we're getting close. All right, so now I can get back to using the whisk. I'm just kind of pulling off the chunks of the bottom, on the bottom. That. Yeah, there we go. So the lumps on the bottom are almost all gone. So that's another thing. Don't, if you go too far, or like I did there, and it gets all messed up, don't think you can't save it, because as long as you have enough of each ingredient, like if I put too much water in, which I almost kind of did here, yeah, there's too much water. Because at this point, you want to be able to, like, if I had made it perfectly here, I could actually punch my fist down into this and it wouldn't splash all over the place. And I can feel that it's close to working there, because when I start moving my hand through it, I'm starting to feel some resistance, but then it gets out of the way. All right, so like I said, save a little bit of cornstarch so you can kind of go back, and I'm gonna just add a little bit of it. And I'm gonna start using the whisk now at this point. And we'll see. We'll see if I saved enough cornstarch to make it happen. All right. We're close, we're really close. I'm gonna rinse off my hand here and then grab the whisk. All right. So I'm really tempted to pour all of this in there. There isn't a whole lot left, but don't get impatient and go too far. I mean, if you've got enough of each ingredient, it's fine. But if I go too far, like if I do the same thing now, and then have to add more water and then have to add more cornstarch until I get the perfect amount, I'm obviously going to run out of cornstarch at some point. But I'm really close here. It's kind of happening. All right. Yes. All right. So now I can take, I'm pushing that down in there really, really hard. And you can feel that resistance. And it's more of a feel thing too. You can kind of feel when you got it right, because the whisk that you're moving through, I can move it through as long as I stay slow like this. But as soon as I try to drag it through really fast, there's a bunch of resistance. So I'm not sure I could do the punch test yet. Yeah, like before, I'm punching down into that bowl and I'm not even hitting the bottom. My fist isn't hitting the bottom of the glass bowl, which would hurt and break it. And that's because it's working exactly the way it should. Now it's still a little bit soupy, so I'm gonna try just adding a little bit more, but not too much. Oh, that might be too much. We'll see. All right, hold on, let's see. All right. Because the other thing I want to get to, if you get just the right consistency there, where it's just soupy enough that you can kind of still move it around slowly, you can make it thick enough where you can kind of make a ball really quick. You can actually roll it into a ball, and then it disappears as soon as you quit kind of putting the pressure on that. So let's see if we can do that. I think I need a little bit more. All right. I think I'm out. I think I'm out of cornstarch. All right. All right, so we're close here. We're to the point where you can kind of definitely play around with it. It feels kind of weird. We might not be able to do make the ball and make it work. So you take a little bit and then quickly roll it. I don't know if you could see that, but as soon as I quit rolling the ball, I could feel it kind of forming in my hand. And then you can kind of feel it, and then as soon as you quit doing that, it just turns back into a fluid. So, and it feels like it's totally messy here because, I mean, you can kind of like, as you drag your hands through it, it gets stuck and it feels like it's never going to come off. But if you just kind of let it drip off and let all the liquid kind of sort of come back, it almost turns to powder in your hands, the stuff that's left, and it washes off in the sink really well. All right, and like I said, it's more of a feel thing. I can't really demonstrate it too much here, but I mean, as I'm hitting it, it's stopping my hand from going all the way down to the bottom of the bowl. All right, so have fun, mess up your kitchen. See if you can get it to a little bit of a better point than I did, where you can actually kind of roll it into a ball and then, but it's a weird, fun thing to play around with. Also, put food coloring in and make it like green or something because, you know, science.
Science!
All right. See you later.